Hey y'all, hey. So, if y'all know anything about me at all from following me, then y'all know that I like to think outside of the box. I was thinking I wanted to create something different for my baskets, so I decided to make some shirt baskets. If you're interested in learning how to make shirt baskets, this would be the video for you. There's three parts to making it. The first part is to design the front of it. The second part is making all the pieces. And the third part is putting it together. This video has two of those parts. Keep watching.
A journey through time.
Okay, so how to get your template. You take a shirt. I took my grandson's shirt and I traced it over a Walmart box. And then I cut the box out, and that was my template. So now I'm taking this template and putting it on top of a white foam board, and I'm going to trace all the way around the template. And I'm keeping the brown box because that's the template I'm going to always use if I want to make more of this one design. And just shape it up really nice and clean the best you can whenever you do it. That's all I'm doing right here. Okay, now that I finished tracing the template, I'm going back and making sure that I can see my lines. So after that, I'm going to use an X-Acto knife, if I said that right. And I'm going to cut around the whole entire template. You can use a box cutter or whatever, or scissors or whatever works for you. But I'm using the X-Acto knife because it's a little more easier. Sometime. I'm not going to even say it's good, easy all the time. So just use what works for you. Okay, now that we have our foam board cut out nicely, we're going to take the eraser from our pencil and erase all the pencil lines. If there's any pencil lines that you did not cut over with your X-Acto knife or whatever you use to cut out your foam board with, make sure you take your pencil and erase all those lines around the edges of your foam board because you don't want that to show up. It depends on what kind of design you're going to do. So that's what I'm doing right here. Okay, so now it's time to put your design on. So I'm about to place a heat transfer on the foam board. You can purchase these transfers anywhere. You could just look them up, and you can get them off of TikTok and so many other places very easily. So right now I'm lining it up right here, trying to see where I want it, and then I'm just going to cover it up with some parchment paper, and then I'm going to iron over it. Now I wouldn't dare put this under the heat press, but I am trying. This is my first attempt trying to even do this because I just wanted to be creative and I wanted to see how it was going to turn out. It's funny because as I'm ironing on this thing, I'm sitting here second guessing everything I'm doing. I'm like, wow, was this even a good idea or not? So here goes nothing. Okay, so now I'm peeling it off. I had to let it cool first, and I'm very impatient. But let me tell you something. This video is, just because it looked like it was easy, it was not easy, okay? I had to iron over this a few more times. But for the video timestamp, I did not want to put that many times on it. This video would have been long, you hear me? So I had to go over it a few times because not all of my letters wanted to stay down at once, you know. And I've tried things on YouTube before, even being on YouTube for myself. And I used to copy people whenever they make things like this and they make it look so easy. It's because it's edited, I think, because this was hard. This wasn't easy. This is something that I thought of right off the top of my head. But I just wanted to put that out there. But like I said, I've tried things like this. I've tried things from YouTube, and my stuff looked like it came from Wish. And, it just didn't work out. But I'm being honest with you. This takes some time and a little bit of patience because number one, it was new to me. And number two, I wasn't really sure, what to expect. But as you see, we're getting it done. So you see me cutting right here because I'm trying not to pull up the parts that was lifting, that did not stay down. So I'm cutting it so I don't have to lay it all back down. So this is where I take the parchment paper and go over it again because I didn't like how it laid down. I want to make sure that it stayed down. So I'm ironing over it again. So I was satisfied when I raised the parchment paper and seeing that it actually worked. It stayed down and it was neat. So I was pretty pleased with that. So here I'm taking off the remainder of the paper to finish up this one. I did not want to keep y'all too long watching me trying to get all this paper off this board because I had to do it several times because some of the letters did not want to stick. So this is how it turned out. And I did a couple more. This is another one that I did. This one here didn't give me as much trouble as the first one that I did. I will say that. So right here, like the other one, I'm just lining it up, putting it where I want it to be, getting the placement just right. Then I'm covering it with the parchment paper and then making sure it's in place good and the paper didn't make it move a little bit or shift because sometimes that happens as well. And I'm just pressing over it. Now we're going to remove the parchment paper. We're going to let it cool a little bit. And as I'm looking at it, I'm noticing these little white puffs, more like air pockets. So I decided to go and do another press just to be sure in those areas. Okay, and so now I remove the parchment paper, and to my surprise, I see more air pockets in her hair. But I decided I'm just going to go ahead on and see what becomes of it. Because I'm not going to keep warming it up and having to keep waiting and waiting and waiting. Because like I told y'all, I'm very impatient. So here I decided to go ahead on and peel it. I did let it sit for a minute. And so now I'm just peeling it off and see what we have. I'm trying to be as careful as possible when I am pulling this up, hoping that I don't have any issues with it. So I'm cutting it in pieces just to be on the safe side. And it turned out good. Thanks for watching how I designed the front of my shirt box, part 1. Welcome to part 2. So now we're working on our back side and our 2 sides and our bottom. So for the back side, when you traced out your t-shirt or whatever design you use for your template, you should have had a back and a front, of course, because we all have back and fronts to our shirts. So the back side is always going to be straight across, and the front is going to have a little style to it, which is the little V-neck that I made. So I'm using the cardboard, a Walmart cardboard that I cut out for my backing, and I'm doing the exact same thing that I did before. I'm putting it on top of a foam board, and I'm going to trace over it the same way we did the first one when we did the front of the shirt. Now, as I'm measuring the cardboard, I am noticing that we are short a little bit at the bottom, but we're going to improvise. We're going to add extra piece at the bottom to make sure that it is as long as the other one. So we can fix that. So now we are cutting it out. We're cutting around where we already traced it at. Okay, so now we've completed that. I didn't see any lines on this one, so therefore I didn't do too much erasing. So now I'm just sizing it up with the front so I can get the right measurement for the bottom, because it was off a little bit, so it's 2 different heights. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm sizing it up on both sides just to make sure that whenever I make the cut that I make it exactly the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to draw a line so I'll know exactly how much of it I need to add. And that's what I'm doing right here. I'm trying to make sure it's even enough. And I'm just going to draw a line right across, just like that. And now I'm taking a piece of the foam board and I'm bumping it up against the back of the shirt, up under it. Still trying to see exactly where it is that I need to cut it. So now I know where to cut it. I'm going to take a piece of tape and put it right in the middle. So that will help me guide my way and it don't shift on me while I'm trying to cut it. Okay, so now right here is where I'm putting the front back on so I can gauge exactly where I want to cut it at. I have it taped in the back, so I'm pretty much ready to do my cut. And I'm looking at each corner, making sure everything is even. And then I'm just gonna take and draw a line again. And where I drew this line at is where I'm supposed to cut it at. It's gonna give me that extra that I need at the bottom of the shirt. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead on and cut it. I have to cut it a couple times with this knife because even though I just bought it, it still seems kind of dull. But I don't want to cut too deep either because I don't want to cut my table and I don't have a cutting mat. Okay, so now that we've made our cut, you see the little opening right there? What we're going to do is just going to take a little bit of hot glue and we're going to run it down that seam and we're going to close it up and it's going to be like it was one piece. We're going to do that at the bottom of this, and we're also going to do it at the top because the top has that same little bend. We're going to just bend it over, open it up a little bit, put a little glue in the middle of it, and close it right back up. Be good as new. Okay, so now we're just sizing it up to make sure that the bottom and the top matches pretty good. Now that they're matched pretty good, we're going to take the top front piece and we're going to measure the bottom of it so we can do the bottom so the box stands up correctly. And we want to put it on the best straight side that we have, just to measure the length of the box. Now you can make your box as wide as you want to. I had already decided how wide I was going to make mine. And so I just take the cardboard, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just trace around this. And then after I trace it, I'm going to cut it out. And that will be my bottom piece. Okay, so the bottom piece is done. Now what we're going to do is just erase all the lines that I have, get it all cleaned up real good. So once we have cleaned it up and got all the pencil marks off, we're going to grab the front piece of the shirt, and we're going to measure it, bump it together, and see if we cut it right. And we did. So now that we've done that, we got to do the sides on both sides of the shirt. Okay, so now we're going to get another piece of foam board, and what we're going to do is we're going to measure it from the little slit right there, the corner of the slit, all the way down to the bottom. And this is going to be how we measure our sides and see how high that we have it. We're going to leave a little playroom because when we're putting the box together, we're going to put a slit in it so it slides up in there a little easier. Okay, so now we're going to take the bottom of the foam board that we had already cut out for the bottom of the box. And what we're going to do is we're going to bump it against the right there at the end where I drew a little line. And we're going to trace out this box. And this box is going to, this bottom is going to help me have the length of the box. So the box will be the same size all the way around. And then we just cut it out. Okay, so after we cut it out, we're going to just do the exact same thing for the second piece. Right here is I'm just cleaning it up a little bit. And then, like I always say, go in with the eraser. And if there's any lines, you just clean it up. And then I'm going to just take that same one and trace it to make the second piece for the second side for the box. Okay, y'all, we have all four pieces that we need: the back, the front, the bottom, and the two sides. We're ready to go on and build our box.